Donkey Kong Country. It's one of the most iconic games of all time. Released in November of 1994 in America, this revolutionary 2D platformer made its way onto the Super Nintendo and took the world by storm. But to really appreciate this timeless classic, let's take a step back to where it all began. Picture this. The console wars between Nintendo and Sega were still in full swing. Nintendo saw the success of Aladdin on Sega Genesis. The hand-drawn visuals looked amazing and really felt like you were playing a Disney movie. Nintendo knew they had to come up with some way to rival this. Enter Rare, a studio I'm sure many of you know and love by this point. During this time, Rare was experimenting with silicon graphics machines. These were used to make CGI in movies like Toy Story. Rare started using these machines earlier on, a killer instinct for the arcade. Nintendo saw what Rare was able to do with this technology, so Nintendo tasked Rare with making a brand new Donkey Kong game, modernizing the original Donkey Kong design and using this rendering technique to make something that had never been done before on the Super Nintendo. Designer Kevin Bayliss combined elements of the original design with some Battletoads influence to create the DK design we know and still love to this day. Oh look, it's the Switch 2! I wonder if it could be... Anyways, with some history out of the way, let's get into the game itself. As I said, these visuals blew people away at the time. No one had seen anything like it. It was revolutionary. The pre-rendered look stood out and really pushed the limits of the Super Nintendo. Alright, so the graphics were impressive, but what does that matter without good gameplay? Was the game even good? Yes. Yes, it was. Donkey Kong Country is not only a great and unique looking game, but also a masterclass in level design and atmosphere. We're introduced to Donkey Kong's home, DK Isle. DK loves potassium because he has a whole ass horde of bananas there. That is, until King K. Rool and his Kremling army steals his horde and takes over DK Isle. So it's up to Donkey Kong and his new pal Diddy Kong to stop them. Speaking of the Kongs, controlling Diddy and DK feels great. Rare was really able to nail the momentum and weight of these characters. DK is the heavier Kong, so naturally he has more weight to him. He's also able to kill certain enemies that Diddy Kong can't. Speaking of Diddy Kong, he's the new guy here and is definitely the Kong you're going to want to use the most. He's faster, jumps a bit higher, and just feels better to control overall. Besides the main Kongs, we also have a few others. You got Cranky Kong, who's actually the original arcade Donkey Kong, and the grandfather of this modern DK, with DK Jr. being Cranky Kong's son. I don't know, man, the DK lore goes deep. Then there's a legendary Funky Kong. He'll let you fly to different islands and just be badass while doing it. Like, dude, no wonder he was broken in Mario Kart Wii. Finally, we have Candy Kong. She's basically your save point for this game. I also wanted to mention the GBA version of Donkey Kong Country 1, as it has an exclusive dance minigame that you can play with Candy Kong. I just can't get over how good the 3D models look here. Why does it look like a DS game? I swear to God, the GBA could do some crazy stuff with 3D. Anyways, back on topic. This game also introduces animal buddies that you can ride to help you find secrets and get around easier throughout the levels. Ramby's a standout here. Just a cool-ass rhino that can mow down enemies with ease. Not to mention others like On Guard, Squawks, Espresso the Ostrich, and Winky. The levels are all designed in a way that benefits the controls and momentum of the Kongs. You'll have strings of enemies that are perfectly placed to just bounce from one to the next. Once you get used to this momentum, it's some of the most satisfying level design I've ever seen in a game. But what about the tunes? The music! Well, Donkey Kong Country also happens to have one of the most iconic and memorable video game soundtracks of all time. Composed by David Wise, the DK soundtrack is something I would describe as just pure magic. The way David Wise was able to get such rich sound out of the 16-bit system still blows my mind to this day. Every tune is incredible and fits the game perfectly. The standout obviously being Aquatic Ambience. People regard this as one of, if not the greatest video game song ever, and for good reason. It just has this calming, nostalgic vibe that I cannot believe is coming from the Super Nintendo. It's simply beautiful. Back to the level design. While it is brilliantly designed, the game can also be pretty difficult at times for new players. I recommend playing this game on Nintendo Switch Online. That rewind feature sure is handy. The difficulty isn't the unfair kind though. It's tough without being too unforgiving, and the satisfaction of blazing through a level with your momentum is part of the reason why the DKC games are some of my favorite platformers of all time. The game is rewarding, while also not being afraid to challenge you. Let's also talk about the bosses. You travel each area of DK Isle and fight a boss at the end of each world, recovering more and more of your banana horde. The bosses are good and serve their purpose, but I feel they only improved as the series went on. This all culminates though in the final boss against King K. Rool himself. Can I just say how great of a villain he is? He's both intimidating, goofy, and a little crazy, and I love him for that. So glad he finally made it to Smash Bros, man. Anyways, this is the best fight in the game, hands down. It's fast-paced, well-designed, and the music, my god. Again, David Wise knocks it out of the park here. And well, that's Donkey Kong Country. There's a reason why this game is still talked about and played today. It has absolutely stood the test of time, and is one of the most well-designed 2D platformers I've ever played. And can you believe that the series only gets better from here? Thank you all so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see me make a video about the other DKC games in the series. Anyways, have a great day. Bye-bye.